got that. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll just say for the record, welcome to our Wealth Creation Through Property webinar. Louise and I are going to talk you through our presentation. So I'm just going to go straight into the presentation, share my screen here. Make sure I get the right one because I've got different versions of this on the computer. I hope it's this one. Yeah, it looks okay. So,
Looks great.
yeah. Right, Alpus Group, wealth creation through property, ethical and sustainable property investment and development. Who is this workshop for? Property owners who may have a problem property, for example, distressed, fire damage, water damage, land for development, that brownfield site possibly, or could be empty or unused commercial buildings, either offices or retail, sometimes workshops. This is also for property investors who are looking for a great guaranteed return on investment. It's for anyone interested in learning about how to create wealth from property. I must correct that spelling mistake there. And anyone willing to learn from other people's mistakes rather than making them yourself, because we'll outline a few mistakes which you can avoid once you know about them. And also it's for people who like free stuff. Why invest in UK property? Because it's a stable and transparent property market. There's a strong demand and a limited housing supply. There's a critical housing shortage, as everyone knows, in the UK. The government aspires to creating 1.5 million more homes during the period of the Parliament. There's a consistent rental income and high occupancy, and rental values have actually gone up significantly in the last couple of years. There's proven long-term capital growth. Roughly every 8 years, the capital value of a property doubles. There are diverse strategies that you can follow, either simple buy-to-let or houses of multiple occupation, commercial strategies as well, and other strategies like freehold to leasehold splits, flipping properties, acquiring property and selling at auction, lots of different strategies. There's a global appeal, and the UK is a safe haven for investors from all around the world. Infrastructure and regeneration projects drive growth, so there are several of those going on in the UK at the moment. Particularly nuclear power stations where there are high concentrations of contractor workforce and they want short-term accommodation for months usually. And property is a hedge against inflation with tangible assets that you get passive income from. So what sort of returns are there? You can get returns of 6 to 10% per annum from buy-to-lets. You can get a rental yield of 4 to 6% per annum. From houses of multiple occupation, it's better. Total return is 10 to 15% per annum. Rental yield is 8 to 12%. Got to be careful with HMOs because a lot of the HMOs are average standard. So what you want to do is aim for high quality houses of multiple occupation, ones for professionals. You certainly don't want to be at the lower end of the market because there's a lot of competition on price. Property development is the best area to be with a return on cost of 15 to 30% per project. Sometimes it can exceed that. But of course, there's a lot more risk with property development. Commercial property, you can get total returns of 8 to 12% per annum. Net yield is 5 to 8% per annum. And in regeneration hotspots, there's a potential growth of 20 to 40% over 5 to 10 years. So infrastructure and regeneration projects drive growth, and property is a hedge against inflation with tangible assets. What's happened here? Oh, this is our management team. Louise is on the call with me at the moment, architect. I founded Alpus Group in Slovenia 10 years ago with the vision to carry out property investment and development throughout Europe. It was a little bit frustrated by Brexit, but nevertheless, we're still on track for operating in the UK and also throughout Europe because we've got our little company in Slovenia which can operate throughout the EU. And Anna Lipcheva is our rentals director. She's not here just at the moment, but she may join during the call. The property wealth formula, it's basically the achievement of four pillars: education, and in education, I would include mindset as well, because you can learn the right sort of mindset for success in property. Leverage, that's leverage of other people's money, usually. And that could be investors' funds or it could be commercially available funds. To have a power team to support you, and to have systems that support you. So that's where we come in. We actually provide the leverage, the power team, and the systems, and we'll explain our ultimate branded solution, a unique branded solution later in the presentation. This is the first of our freebies. So you've got here Your Property Network magazine, which is more than a magazine. It's actually a community where you can get membership of a WhatsApp group and a lot of support from different webinars. But fundamentally, there are a lot of expert contributors to Your Property Network magazine. I'll quote particularly Ant Lyons, who's a well-known investor, Michelle Cairns, who regularly contributes, and also someone you've probably heard of is John Howard from Property Elevator on Sky. They have an expert panel, John Howard, Ranjan Bhattacharya, couple of other people who are well-known investors, and they basically give an opportunity for people who've got developments to make a pitch. So John Howard is the guy who chairs that expert panel. But about Your Property Network, you can get a 28-day free trial. It's £23.95 a month after that, which sounds very expensive for a magazine, but it's more than a magazine. It's a community, and you can get access to all the back catalogues. You can get access to video and audio interviews, monthly master classes from experts in different strategies, people who've done buy, refurb, refinance, and are experts at doing that, and some exclusive bonuses as well. So I do think it's a great magazine to subscribe to start your education. Here are the two QR codes. You can either get a posted hard copy or you can get a digital version of your YPN magazine. Property Investors Network. I'm the host for the Portsmouth Property Investors Network, and we subscribe to Simon Zucchi's Property Investors Network, and we recommend their education products. I've personally undertaken a lot of coaching and mentoring from Simon Zucchi, including a mastermind, and I'm now on the next level with Simon Zucchi, and all of Simon's education products are totally expert and totally ethical. So Simon Zucchi, from my point of view, is a recommended educator. And you can also, if you want to get support from the PIN community, there are 50 PIN meetings around the country and two in the Netherlands. Most of them are in person, so you can come along to your local PIN meeting and you can meet like-minded people and get support from the network there within the PIN community. So if you want to scan the QR code there, you can log on to the portsmouthpin.co.uk. if you haven't been to a PIN meeting before, if you use the code Alan06, you can get in for free for your first event. So that's the second freebie for the evening. This is me. I've got a lot of background in project management and engineering, and also construction management. I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Building and a fellow of the Association for Project Management. I've carried out lots of projects of varying sizes, from the smallest to the largest in the UK and internationally. I've worked for contractors, consultants, and client bodies, so I've seen projects from all sides, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've worked with lots of different forms and types of contracts, so I've seen the respective advantages and disadvantages of each of these types of contract. And as a result of my experience, I wrote a book called Project Deliverance, The 20 Key Factors for Project Success or Failure, which is available on Amazon. And I'll give you a QR code to get that a little bit later as well. This was one of the first project management commissions that I had, which was after many years of construction experience working for contractors, including working on hotel projects in the Middle East. I was appointed as Deputy Project Controller on the Cable Beach development, and subsequently Project Director on the Lacaille Beach Hotel development in Freeport in Grand Bahama. So this was a great example of procuring internationally for major developments. At the time, it was worth something like 100 million, but in today's currency, it would be worth probably more than £1 billion. And there's very interesting subject in my book, which is about this development on the right here, the Bahama development. It wasn't one that I actually was involved in, but it was a subsequent development on the Cable Beach side. And the developer there, his name was Sarkis. He was the son of a billionaire peanut grower from the US. He's actually Armenian descent, and he invested in the Bahama project, expecting to own a luxury resort development which would generate millions of dollars for him. And what actually happened was that he engaged China State Construction to carry out the works. They had a lot of variations which the developer couldn't pay for. He couldn't get the funding to pay for these extras. And so what actually happened was that the contractor took over the site. So instead of Sarkis actually owning the development, which was the idea, the contractor owned it. So, you've got to be very careful with how you appoint contractors and cost control and essentially the contractual arrangements, because there are a lot of risks in carrying out these sort of scale of developments. I was engaged with P&O developments on the Chelsea Harbour project for about 5 years. This is actually a picture of the Chelsea Harbour Hotel, which was for a Swedish client. And this was a transformation of a very low value derelict site, effectively, into massively high value residential, commercial, mixed use development, including we actually dug out the marina. There was a basin that had been used for barges into this industrial area, and that had all been filled in. So we actually excavated out the marina, and it's now used for leisure craft of the owners of the different apartments in Chelsea Harbour. So it's basically top value residential. So it just goes to show what can be done with the right sort of site and the right sort of planning permission. But of course, all the ingredients need to come together to make this work into a profitable development. These are some more photographs. I think Michael Caine has one of the units in this tower block here. There are lots of rich people who live in Chelsea Harbour, and it's become a bit of an enclave in West London, which didn't exist before this site was developed. So quite a privilege to actually participate in the management of what was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, project in Europe and fastest moving project at the time. This was actually delivered using construction management techniques, and P&O employed Lira McGovern from the US to help them to manage the project. And in fact, they acquired Lira McGovern after this project. So quite innovative in terms of methods of procurement. This is another project that I was involved in 1 to 4 Hyde Park Gate. It was development of a Grade 2 listed building, and what happened was the facade of the building and the front of the building was retained, and at the back of the building, in the garden, effectively, there were 17 1 and 2 bedroom flats built on a steel frame construction. So although it looks quite old and in keeping with English heritage standards, the actual construction is new. So this is an idea of one of the lounge areas on the left-hand side here. And these are a few more illustrations of what are 5-star quality serviced accommodation units that the purpose was to compete with the West End hotels. So families who wanted to stay in the centre of London, rather than booking a suite at the Dorchester or the Ritz or Savoy, they would actually book here. So rather than paying a massive fortune in a 5-star hotel, they pay a smaller fortune for a place in Cheval Property Management Hyde Park Residences, where they can bring in their own chef or get the management to arrange a chef for them. They get maid service, and it's like being in a hotel, but without the public areas that you would get in a hotel. This is another project which is quite remarkable in a way, because if you look at the left-hand side of the um, photographs, the middle one on the left-hand side shows the state of the site at the beginning, and then it was subsequently completely built out for the Olympics, and our part of the development was the Stratford International extension to the Docklands Light Railway. Why is that important? You say, well, it's because people could come from Europe, from Paris or from Belgium, and they could actually get off at Stratford International and then be on the TfL network. So they get access to the Docklands Light Railway and thereby onto the tube network for London in a very quick way. So it was quite a big improvement project, and you never heard anything about it because it was all completed on time and to budget. And I'm sure if it hadn't been, it would have been all over the media, because this was all in advance of the Olympics in 2012. This was the biggest project I managed. I was project director for ACOM on this Crescent development project, which consisted of a massive hotel in the sea. We actually had to reclaim land from the sea to form the foundations for the hotel, and then the sea was let back in around the construction once it had been done. Crescent City is the middle tower block, and Crescent Place is the residential and retail part of the development. So this was actually carried out using a FIDIC contract, which is international engineering contract. The architect of record was Hirim from Korea. There are also Japanese designers involved on the hotel as well. So it was a real international effort, and a very complex project to procure and deliver. So this is some of the client's feedback from the director at DLR, where I led the A.L.P.U.S project management team that had helped DLR to deliver this Stratford International Extension project. And at the bottom there in particular, Gilan Holding, who were the client for the Crescent Development Project in Baku in Azerbaijan. They described that I worked conscientiously, responsibly, and highly professionally, intelligently led the construction project to identify potential problems and resolve complex situations in a timely way. Well, that's what I do. I solve problems for property owners. And I wrote this book, Project Deliverance, and it explains the story of lots of different projects I've been involved in, and a few that I haven't personally been involved in, but I explain the story of those projects, like I explained about the Bahama project, because it was quite noticeable about mistakes that had been made and how you can avoid those mistakes by taking the right action. So if you want to click on the QR code, you can get a copy of the Project Deliverance book from Amazon, or if you let us have your contact details, including your address, we'll actually send you a free copy of the book. So if you just drop an email to alan@alpusgroup.com with all your details, and then we'll actually send you a free copy of the book. This is my colleague Anna Libcheva, who is our rentals director. Anna is a seasoned international entrepreneur with a forward-looking perspective on property development and investment. She has a bachelor's degree in economics and finance with a specialization in marine transportation and logistics. And over the years, she's built a diverse career spanning sales, finance, account, and project management, property development, and asset management. She's fluent in 4 languages and also learning a couple more at the moment. She's passionate about fish keeping, fitness, live music, and motorbikes. And I've also got my other colleague, Louise Suter, on the call with me at the moment. Louise, would you like to just say a few words about yourself, just to introduce?
Hi, Alan, and thank you for that introduction to the broad and impressive amount of projects that you have been working across. My name's Louise. I am an architect and have been for over 25 years. I have worked across an innumerable, huge amount of different building typologies. I am passionate about ethically working, ethical design, but also ethical practice, and also how that works within the property space. So I completed a course at the London School of Economics a few years ago on real estate and finance, which was an introduction into how to assist people who have the agency to make a difference in housing, and who have the agency to invest and build the type of cities and future housing that we need. And that has completely changed my outlook on working. My design process is extremely rigorous. I'm extremely skilled at design, and really passionate about bringing value and the unseen elements to development that a lot of people in the development world don't really talk about, because it's not related to spreadsheets. So kind of the more creative aspect that actually brings a huge amount of value doesn't necessarily cost more. It just needs to be thought through slightly differently. So that's me.
Great. Thank you very much, Louise. So I think that's very important, actually, that good design is considered. It's not all about the figures. It's about creating a built environment. And when you consider that buildings have a life of possibly 100 or more years, and you're actually creating an environment that people will live and socialize and interact in, it's probably the most important of the human activities. And, to actually focus on good quality design, I think is very unusual, and I'm really pleased that we have you on board because I think uh, good aspirations to great design is absolutely vitally important. And I'm looking forward to doing some landmark projects in the future where we can demonstrate this expertise.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's extremely extremely timely given the amount of flux that so many different industries are in at the moment. So, um, but companies adopting AI. So what's interesting to me and important to me is how you can implement housing, or the word home actually is a home. It's a nurturing space. So we've
Mhm.
often talked about, a home that doesn't make demands of you financially, a
Mhm.
home that is stable regardless of what's happening externally. And these are basic um, concepts, or
Yes.
functional aspects of a build. But in the UK, I think we're not as far down the line as other European countries, and with aspects of passive house. These are old terms.
Yeah.
Um, and in the 70s, we had the Vales. They were a couple who they studied at Bath, and they built the first passive house in the UK, the first
Hmm.
English passive house. And that's always seemed very, very obvious to me. Uh, and yet we don't do it. And I think as a developer, if you can provide a home, so development actually is a piece of architecture, it's a home.
Hmm.
Um, and it has cultural value. If you can bring that into the work that you're doing, your asset, if you're a fund or a bank, or your asset should always hold its value because
Yes.
it's stable and it's kind of in the
Yeah.
way in which the fabric is built. So, it's not making demands thermally on the people occupying that space. So the
Yeah.
kind of basic functional requirements of a building are really important to myself and you, Alan, and also
Yes.
how you get that to work financially. That's also a challenge for developers. So we're kind of
Yeah.
looking at how to get that to work. And then obviously there's a kind of whole cultural heritage of building and construction, and not just having a cookie cutter approach to housing, or a lot of issues that are coming up now is that houses don't have areas that are being newly built and developed don't have the amenities. And,
Yeah.
there are really amazing examples of architects historically. One gentleman called Eric Leon, who designed span housing, which was between the kind of smaller houses and much more expensive houses. He had to deregister as an architect actually at that time because he wasn't allowed to be a developer and an architect
Hmm.
under the code of practice. But he developed schemes wherein the housing in that community, and he provided a lot of housing en masse, then had facilities such as a community centre, which every single house owned a part of.
Hmm.
So these things were very interesting because the value of that potentially is much more stable. You've got a community aspect. It's not just the stability with respects of, does it stack up financially and the
Yes.
initial cost? It's the stability with respects to, do people have any agency in the environment that they're living in, and therefore have a sense of ownership? And as soon as
Yeah.
you provide people with a sense of ownership, you then have, or you should have, some form of stability, because people become protective about their spaces, they take
Mhm.
care of them. There's a community there, people are going to want to be there long term. Those
Yeah.
type of things are really important
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
for the developer as much as they are societally and for communities. And it works hand in hand. And I think
Yeah.
now's the time to build that into what people are doing, and re-examine that and make that your own. If you're building a portfolio, that would really be something that's unique to you in the way in which you approach it. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think we should do some design studies on future webinars and just go through some case studies. There's one particular affordable housing scheme that was done in the old docks area in Copenhagen, which I think is worth studying because it's a good example of affordable housing that's been carried out,
amazing.
to yes, and helping solve Denmark's affordable housing problem, because lots of countries around the world have tackled this problem in the past, and I think we can learn from other countries what they've done, and integrate the best practice into what we do in the UK. But let's set up a discussion about design matters in a future webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just back to our presentation, do you, as a property owner, have a property problem? Do you know how to solve it? We can look at your property in a new way. We're especially interested in commercial to residential conversions because there are some surplus to requirements commercial buildings that can be easily repurposed into residential, high quality residential. And because the envelope of the building exists, then it actually saves quite a lot of resources taking the work from foundations up to through the structure, the envelope and the roof and so on. Land development sites for planning gain, we're interested in looking at these and how we can add value to development sites. Blocks of flats, we're interested in acquiring these, as well as hotels that can be improved. So there are a number of ways in which hotels which are underperforming can be improved. So if you've got any sort of property problem, talk to us, and we'll have a look at it, and we'll give you our honest feedback about what the best way forward is. We will consider purchasing properties of any type, as we've always got investors seeking UK property. This is the system that we adopt, is the unique branded system for Alpus. A stands for acquisition of the property. L is for leverage of our expert team. P is for project design. Essentially, this is the planning phase. And U is the undertaking of the upgrade of the value. So this is the implementation of the design that's been agreed on for any particular property or any site. And then S stands for safe, secure investment returns. So the first phase, the acquisition, we can acquire your property in a number of ways. We can carry out joint ventures with you as the property owner, or we can lease the property from you in the short term with a view to purchase at a later date. We can take a property which is in need of refurbishment, and we can carry out what's called an assisted sale. So we can actually improve the property for you, and we'll sell the property at a higher value and share the profits with you. We can acquire properties for multiple purposes, for investments and for development. So if you've got any sort of portfolio, we can have a look at your portfolio and see which properties are suitable for development and which properties may be better repurposed to get the optimum value. So essentially what we do is we specialize in finding win-win ethical solutions. We can manage property as well as develop it. And if you're an investor, we can build you a portfolio using our extensive UK and European network of contacts. Leverage, as Louise was explaining, she's got years of experience in design and planning applications and approvals. We've got expertise in construction methodology. That was one of the things I've looked at over many years, is how best to deliver projects. And I've used timber framed construction from the very early days of timber frame, steel panel construction, and also reinforced concrete, all sorts of methodologies. Whatever is appropriate for the site in mind, then we will adopt the most appropriate methodology. We specialize in ways to increase the value of property, especially things like commercial to residential conversions. And Louise is expert at finding the best way to optimize the finishes and also the garden space, which is best not overlooked, because you can actually create external spaces for residents to enjoy gardens as well as the flats that may be produced from residential conversions. We specialise in planning applications and achieving value through planning gain, and we're specialists in rental properties to achieve the optimum value for investors. So that's Anna's area of expertise. So
So,
sorry.
sorry, Alan, just on that, yeah. So I guess one of the things that we're really good at or aware of are the areas where initially you can't place a value on something. So
Hmm.
economists call it hedonic modelling,
Uh-huh.
wherein you might place the value on a tree or a canal.
Yes.
Um, and I think, coincidentally, 5 years ago, anything built next to a canal in certain areas of London, the property value was instantly worth 25% more.
Yes. Yes.
So these things might feel like they're nice to haves, but
Mm.
what we are very good at is bringing in things that are actually relatively um, inexpensive given the cost of the build,
Yeah.
and leveraging that not only to provide this kind of idea of something that's sustainable in the sense that people have agency over it because it's great to be in and they're proud of it and they love it and it's a
Yeah.
pleasure to live there, but also you're raising the value of the property just through it looking good and also understanding these hidden values. There are a lot of
Yeah.
hidden values that many developers can't equate for. But if you're an
Yes.
economist and you're working with a fund, you will know about these. They're quite long-winded equations. We don't do them ourselves, but we are aware of the value of certain things and we'll always
Mm.
try and draw them in and use them as a kind of free part of increasing the value of something. So anything that's in the environment that can be used as a point for design or can be used to raise the value of something or raise the desirability of something with little
Yeah.
cost is something that we're very good at doing.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And you've got to have that awareness and sensitivity to that sort of issue as well, to understand what's possible, with existing sites in what can be uh, um, wildlife corridors, essentially. You can get these along railway lines and also along canals as well. And it's amazing to see the sort of wildlife that you get on canals once they've had a chance to re-establish after development. So the project design or planning phase, we ensure that the principal designer is appointed and all the legislation is conformed to. There's new legislation about principal designer obligations, and there is new legislation post Grenfell about a golden thread through the whole of the process, from the concept through to the demolition of a building, actually. And so we actually take on board this whole process in the procurement methods that we adopt. So we're aware of the legislation. We're actually in tune with solving these problems. We evaluate each site or property to see how the value can be optimized. So we may look at several different options for development before we arrive at what could be the best option for going forward. And we'll evaluate each option on its merits and discuss it with the client or amongst ourselves if we're in control of the development. We carry out preliminary risk assessments for each design option, and then feasibility or studies for comparison and selection, and then decide on which is the appropriate planning permission to seek, unless there is permitted development on the particular property. And we establish a budget and a contingency of time and cost at the same time. So everything is evaluated before we start to implement the design. So before moving forward, we would have a design in concept, a preliminary design and a feasibility study. We would seek the planning approval, and we would formulate a strategy of how we would actually deliver the project. So all this is done at the planning stage. And then implementation is the upgrade of the value. So we set in motion the agreed design that is going to produce the maximum value for the site, the optimum value. We'll carry out any advanced works that may be required, such as demolition, site clearance, any diversion of utilities and that sort of thing. We'll appoint a principal contractor and ensure that all the health and safety responsibilities are allocated before the work starts, and for which an F10 form would need to be submitted to the health and safety executive, and we'd make sure that all the safety reporting arrangements under RID are put in place. So whatever we carry out, we ensure that all the legislation is conformed to, and that everything is carried out in a safe and controlled manner. And as a result of this rigorous process that we've just described, we can ensure there are safe, secure investment returns. So all this will be calculated in advance, but what we ensure is that the process of the design and the construction is such that it returns the projected return for investors. Obviously, in order to control the costs, we engage quantity surveyors for independent cost checking, and we also have our own in-house appraisal of costs as well. So everything is double and triple checked before it's implemented, so there are no surprises. We carry out property financing, and we can arrange mortgages and bridging and development finance for properties that we create. Then we can arrange mortgages on these properties. This is a case study of a current project, number 2, 4 and 6 High Street, Alton.
Sorry, Alan, just on that, I'll just jump in there. Obviously, we're not
Yeah.
financial advisors.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're not financial advisors, but what we can do is we will be able to help you with network and get you to certain people to discuss these things in detail with people that have been part of the PIN network for years, and people who are known to other people. So
Yeah.
if we don't know about something, we will definitely be able to assist in finding someone who does know, and the right consultant, the right professional. So obviously, you need specific people for certain things. For example, a lawyer to draft legal contracts, and we've got a network of people that we can point you in the right direction to help you with that.
Definitely, yes. We're a franchise holder for the Property Entrepreneurs Network, and as part of that network, we've got access to financial advisors as well as investors and funders. So, yeah, as Louise says, there's no problem at all in getting funding for any profitable developments. These particular buildings were all owned by different owners. Number 4 was acquired on the 6th of December 24. Number 6 is about to be acquired next week. Number 2, the negotiations fell through last year because the owner wanted too much money for the property. But since then, the leaseholder of the building has actually surrendered his lease. We were collaborating with the leaseholder at the time with a view to collaboration for development of that site, but he's now thrown in the towel. So we suspect that the freeholder will be more inclined to sell the property at a reasonable price any time later this year or maybe next year. These are the 3 buildings. On the left-hand picture, there's the building in the foreground is number 4, and the taller building just on the far side of that is number 6. So we've got planning permission to build 5 flats in number 4 and 4 flats in number 6. Number two, the Crown Hotel, which is the right-hand picture, we haven't put in a planning application because we don't really want to declare our hand until we can acquire the property. So that's one for a future presentation. This is the idea. Is unfortunately a little bit difficult to see, but if I just follow my cursor, in the Crown Hotel, which I've just outlined, a rectangular block there, there's an opportunity to make 5 flats in the dark shaded area of the car park, and also make an access into the back of number 4 and put 4 or 5 parking spaces in the back of number 4. And we're just also negotiating with the owner of number 10. You see there's a little white block there, to get access through their garden, and to get access for parking in the back of number 6 as well. So subject to getting these 2 accesses, it could make a lot of difference to the private parking and also the value of the units in all these 3 buildings. If
Just on that, Alan,
Yeah.
for full transparency, you worked with another architect on number 4 and number 6.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Who was that? Just so that people can.
Stephen Hurrell, Hurrell Architecture in Alton in Hampshire. And number 2, if the whole building were developed, probably because it's 7,000 square feet, there could be possibly up to 12 flats in that building if it's redeveloped, subject to planning permission. So it was no longer a pub; it became flats. Then it could be quite a valuable site on the corner there, and quite good quality buildings, all Grade 2 listed. The Alton Preservation Society were consulted about our plans for making these buildings back into residential. I say back into residential because in recent years, both number 4 and number 6 have been used as offices. They're both empty because they're no longer wanted as offices, but originally they were both merchants' houses. So essentially they're being returned to residential use. So neither the Historic Buildings Officer nor the Local Preservation Society nor the Planning Department had any issue with that, even though they didn't have the parking until we can solve the problem of access. They were granted planning permission because there's lots of public parking around. Yeah, I think I've just explained this here. Planning permission number 4 was received last year. Number 6 was received in July this year. Number 2 will be made in due course. So our investment process, just in principles, we acquire undervalued assets in growth regions. We apply sustainable design and development principles. We enhance value with energy efficient technologies wherever possible, and we exit via sale or lease with strong return profiles. And this is another example of property that we were negotiating. It's actually fallen through at the moment, but it may come back. And this is a closed down care home, and it would convert into up to 12 flats, depending on the size of the flats. It's an Edwardian property, traditional brick and bath stone elevations on a site of approximately 0.6 acres with gardens to the side and rear. So it does have potential for development. And in the past, there was an approved planning application to extend the care home by 11 rooms, so approximately more than 50% of its current area. But because that wasn't actually followed through, and we've had recent discussions with the planners, they're not supportive of other development in the garden. So it's always difficult with planning authorities knowing exactly what can be built. You've got to comply with their policies and strategy and their requirements, all of which are noted on their website. But in the end, it comes down to negotiation. So, although this property has a C3 residential use because somebody was planning to actually use it as a very large home for themselves, say very large because it's 7,084 square feet, so unusually large. And we'd done some alternative layouts for that's the existing layouts over 4 floors. We did a couple of different options. One of them was for 9 one-bedroom flats and 1 two-bedroom flat, and this would have been suitable for specialised supported housing because we were looking into that, and at one time in discussion with the Bath Commissioner about that fell through. So we were looking latterly at making this building into 8 two-bedroom flats, which is more suitable for serviced accommodation. Since it's quite near the centre of Bath, it's ideally situated for serviced accommodation. So, are you interested in working with us? If so, you can click on the QR code there, and that'll take you through to book a call with me. And that's at calendly.com/AlanJE. I've given my phone number on the screen there, 07539141257, or the landline is 0333224127. Obviously, from outside the UK, you need to add +44 and drop the 0 on those numbers, or you can simply drop me an email at alan@alpusgroup.com. If you would like to talk with Louise about mentoring, then Louise's number is there on the screen. And if you
just want to have a general chat, see what we're like, just get to know us, feel free to call me.
Right.
I'm in the London area, and I can also be in Hertsmere and Essex.
Great. Thank you, Louise. And we've got a number there for Anna Lipcheva if you want to talk about rentals. And I've already told you my number. So if you would like to build a portfolio, we can offer you a done with you service. And what we do is we use something called Property Filter, which is one of the software tools that is very effective for finding any sort of property anywhere in the UK. And what this is basically, it's a database which allows you to set automatic bots searching for the type of property that you want. So you give the software criteria that you want to seek. So you give it a location and the type of property you're looking for, whether it's rent to rent or freehold to leasehold splits, or if it's flips, or if it's houses of multiple occupation, and the software will return search results to you while you're sleeping, basically. So it's a very easy tool to use. I've given you there a QR code for 28 days free, 30 days free access to Property Filter. If you go to their website, it's normally just 2 weeks access. So with this, you get an extra 2 weeks with the QR code there. And we also give you the QR code to speak to me if you're interested in our done with you service, which means that we'll give you guidance and work with you over a 2-month period to find the sort of deal that you're looking for. And this price includes for a value up to £300,000 in any location anywhere in the UK, no matter what the strategy is you're looking for, and we'll basically guarantee to find you a deal. So for an investment of 1997, I think it's a pretty good offer, that we'll guarantee to find you a deal within the parameters that are specified up to a value of £300,000. If for any reason, which I can't anticipate, you don't find a deal at the end of 60 days, then we'll work with you until you do get one. There's also a done for you service. So if you want to build your portfolio, but you don't want to be bothered with learning how to do it, if you just tell us your criteria, and we will actually find you the right deals, and our normal price for a property up to £300,000 value in any location anywhere in the UK is 4,997. So by all means, get in touch if you prefer the done for you service. We undertake to give you the property within 60 days, the one that will suit your criteria. In actual fact, it will probably be quicker, but just in case of any sort of mismatch in requirements, then we allow ourselves 60 days to fulfill your requirements. And you can buy that service by signing up with the QR code there, which is a call with me, and I'll actually take your commitment fee for that, and we'll start work on your portfolio building. These are our contact details again. The mobile number for me, the landline. On Instagram, we're on Alpus at Alpus.group, and our website is https://alpusgroup.com. Can you think of anything I've missed there, Louise, or anything I haven't explained very well?
That's fantastic. Obviously there are some, like a bit of detailed information or kind of contracts and information that we send over for clarity.
Mhm.
I think you need to mention things like, so you editing this out, keeping this in. So it's just the
Um,
guarantee,
well,
um, obviously with the
I'm
60
recording at
days.
the moment,
All
so
right,
I
okay. So
can.
with the 60 days,
Yeah.
obviously that's not that Alpus Group find a property and it's fully refurbished within 60 days. That's 60
Oh
days,
no,
as in
no,
the
that's to
deal's
find the
found, and just
property.
for
Yes,
clarity.
yes,
And obviously, so I work with Alpus Group with respects to with a developer's hat on from a property developer's point of view. Obviously, I could do architectural services and they're separate, and we don't want there to be any
yes,
conflict of interest. So there's further
yes,
information that you'd need around that. But obviously, we do everything transparently, and we
yeah,
work within the respective laws, and we do everything above board and ethically and all of that. So
absolutely, yeah,
yeah, it basically, if you give Alan a call, there's further information to go through, so that everything's clear. And then, for example, the guarantee, as long as you're following the process that Alan sets out, we can't guarantee something if it's being done with you, but you're not doing, if you're not looking for anything and you're not following through, then obviously it would take longer than 60 days. So
sure,
feel free to get in touch with Alan just to run through the details of how those processes work, just to be clear about what is included and what isn't included. Um, so I don't know if that clarifies or adds anything,
yeah,
but just those are my thoughts.
I think that's fine. Yes, if anyone wants us to help them to build a portfolio, we can do it in either the done with you way or the done for you way, and obviously we'll issue a contract before we actually undertake anything.
Yeah. So with the done with you, Alan, for
Yeah.
example, obviously then that how much time would someone need to commit per week in order to kind of, if they were really keen to identify what they wanted to invest in and really keen to find an area and to establish that and have something on the table within 60 days, how much time would they need to commit?
It's a very difficult question to answer that because it just depends how you go about it. We recommend using Property Filter, which actually takes a lot of the legwork out of it for you, because you've got these bots that actually seek the sort of property to the criteria that you set. If you ignore property filter and you go to Rightmove or Zoopla or On the Market, then it could take you a lot longer, because you could
Yeah.
be searching through these platforms for hours trying to find the right deal. So we give the 30 days free with property filter, and in that time you can actually find a lot of deals, whatever, no matter what strategy you're looking in. If you don't use the free time and you then subscribe, it's £99 a month. So it's not a cheap software, but it's very worthwhile because it saves you a lot of time. So it's very difficult to answer that question.
Yeah. So basically,
How
are
much
we
time will it take?
with this
If you,
process, is there a
mm,
structure that people can follow? So basically,
yes,
there's a
yes,
kind of to-do list
yeah,
weekly, and if they follow that structure weekly, they
yeah,
should get the results. So basically,
yes.
it's
We'll basically be
outlined.
going through how to use property filter to actually find the right deals for you. So it depends on each person individually, then following up and taking those actions.
Yeah,
But the tool
yeah.
of preference that we use is property filter, and we use it because we know it works.
So for example, if somebody's strategy does happen to be houses of multiple occupation,
Yeah,
the discussion might be around, what are you trying to achieve? What are you looking to achieve within 5 years? And they're very much, it's not just based around a figure. I believe it's also based around, what you need for yourself and your family, and you know whether you want something nearby, or whether you feel that you have the funds to have something managed separately. All those types of things, and then that will
yeah, we
also
have a thorough
drive.
dialogue to
Yeah,
what
yeah,
your aspirations are, and we try and guide you the best way to achieve the outcome that you want.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, there's no question about that. We're aware of all the different strategies, and we can point you in the right direction for any expertise that you want to acquire. For example, additional training, which would be through Property Investors Network, because we believe in Property Investors Network training. But the done with you service doesn't rely on any additional training. We will actually tell you how to achieve what you want.
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Just for clarity.
Yeah.
And any questions, just feel free to call and have a chat.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah, we're all quite approachable, ethical, we want you to succeed. So the last thing we want to do is undertake to do something with you and we don't think is achievable, because you tell us something which is not achievable. So we just tell you that, and we wouldn't actually take any money from you, because we want to succeed and we want you to succeed. Um, I think that's more or less all for our presentation for this evening. So we will be doing a rerun of this presentation on Saturday at 2 p.m. And we're also running regular webinars every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So they may be this presentation, or they may be other relevant presentations, such as we talked earlier about certain design issues. And I think it would be really good if we can focus on some case studies of different projects where there've been very useful outcomes for investors. So anyway, we'll keep in touch and we'll keep you posted about the subject of the presentations for future webinars. But we're meeting every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and every Saturday at 2 p.m. So you can find us online then. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for your help, Louise. And
Are you going to stop recording?
yes, stop share.
Sorry, I hate being on camera. It's just not my thing at all. The other